Hey guys, what's up? It's Looney TNT. So today we're going to go over some tips on how to be a great hunter for PVE as a DPS. Now, when you start raiding and when you start raiding as a hunter, there's some basic stuff that you want to remember, especially when you are in a raid environment, whether you're pugging, whether you're in a guild, whatever you're doing. We're going to go over some simple steps for beginner raiders to make sure that you guys are well equipped with everything that you guys need to do. Now, the first thing that you're going to do, we're going to come over the very basic thing, is be prepared. When you come into a raiding environment, don't be that guy that doesn't have his flask. Don't be that guy who doesn't have his potions. Be ready to go. Have your food buffs. Have everything that you need so someone doesn't have to put down a feast. Someone isn't asking you, do you need a flask? For example, Warlords of Draenor, we had runes that we needed. Make sure that you have every single item that you need that's going to help you for the raid. Don't be that guy. Your guild leader, your other raiders, the pugs, they don't want to wait around just because you forgot your stuff. The next one is a very basic one, but something that everybody should know, and that is the fights. And I know that sounds kind of generic, right? Know the fight. Well, there's a lot more to knowing the fight that goes into DPSing than people think. I'm able to out DPS people that are a little bit higher eye level than me just because I know the fight and I know when to burst and I know when not to burst. Especially as a hunter DPS. If we have for example, a pack of mobs that are coming out, and we know this pack of mobs is coming out in 10 seconds, and there's going to be a lot of them. Do we barrage because we have 3 targets up? Do we barrage if we have 4 targets up at that time? No. You hold it out until this big AoE massive set of ads are coming out, so you can barrage, so you can help out the raid, so you can, you can cheese your meters, you can do whatever you want to do, because some people like to cheese their meters, which really doesn't matter, but it's all about getting the boss kill. But if you want high numbers, you'll want high numbers. Knowing the fight and knowing when to DPS and when knowing not to DPS is a huge part of your DPS rotation. Obviously, I'm always wanting to maximize the DPS that I can do, but there's going to be certain situations that call for cooldowns. There's certain situations when you stampede, right? I don't stampede and I'm switching a bunch of targets because my pets are going to be jumping all over the place and they're not going to get that maximum amount of damage. The next thing is knowing your stat priority, knowing your class, right? Knowing your spells, knowing your class, knowing what to do when, knowing what gear that you need. An upgrade is an upgrade, but if an upgrade gives you versatility and it takes away crit, why would you possibly take that as a marksmanship hunter? Maybe you guys are a beast mastery, maybe survival, whatever you guys are. Just understand that when you have your stat priority, especially when you're in a guild, if you're in a pug and something's a huge upgrade, let's say you have a 1 item level bow and a 10 item level bow. Well, if the stat priority isn't exactly on that 10 item level bow, it's probably going to do a lot more. But if you're looking at a minimal eye level boost, you're not sure if it's going to be better or not, especially if you're in a guild, pass on the item. Let someone have it that it's their best in slot for their stats. That's going to help tremendously because secondary stats mean so much in this game right now. They mean almost everything to your class. If you don't have the right secondary stats, you're not going to be doing very good. Now, that comes into knowing your class. Know your class, know your spells. Don't be afraid to do a little bit of research on your spells and figure out what you can do in different situations. What interrupts you have, what stuns you have, what traps you have, what AoE spells you have, what burst damage do you have, what cooldowns do you have for different scenarios, right? So Knowing all of this stuff that you can do is so important, because if something happens, a big AoE scenario or something, or a bit, let's keep it basic. Let's say one of your DPS dies that was doing the interrupts, and they don't have anybody to interrupt. Well, guess what? You're a hunter. You can interrupt. So don't be afraid to go and start interrupting the target when it needs interrupted. But even if you're not the one that, in my guild we have the rogues, the warriors, and the death knights do all the interrupting. But if something happens, I don't want to die because something happened, maybe a DC or whatever. I want to be able to just interrupt the target. It's not a big deal. You can do it. Know when to interrupt it, know when not to interrupt. Don't just start interrupting because it messes up everybody's cooldowns. But if something happens and there's nobody to interrupt, don't be afraid to do that. Same thing with maintaining ad control. As a hunter, I maintain ad control a lot because I have a lot of stuff that I can do. I have my frost traps, I have my binding shots, I have my barrages. I have a lot of utility that I can do to maintain these mobs. I can slow them. So much you can do as a hunter, and you will be asked to do it. I even have this distraction shot here. I have a mini taunt, is what I have. So if something's happening where maybe the off tank dies and the main tank is still alive, and they're about to take this ability that kills them unless someone taunts off, why not use your distracting shot, let him come hit you, throw up your deterrence, be okay. And then the tank takes it back and you're all good to go. Sometimes you can save a raid in those instances, right? Obviously, you can't practice them. You just got to be ready to go whenever you go. So know your spells. Alright, guys. So, this was a very beginner's guide to the marksmanship hunter, to the beast mastery hunter, survival hunter, any hunter. This was a very, very basic guide on the class. So when you guys are thinking about or going into another class, do your research, know your spells, know different scenarios to pop different things, because it is so important to do. So important to do. I found out that the hard way and a lot of times, but I learned as I went. And don't be afraid to ask other players. Don't be afraid to ask other hunters. If you see a hunter doing something, if he's out DPSing you in a fight, and it's like, what the heck am I doing wrong? Our gear is similar. There shouldn't be a reason this guy's out DPSing me. Check up what he's doing, right? You got recount, or what is it, SCADA, or whatever you use. Look at what he's doing. Look at these abilities that he's doing. Look at his see if his ability damage matches yours. And if his ability damage is matching yours or is way higher, then you need to start looking at your gear, looking at your setup, looking up your talents, figure out what he's doing different, and don't be afraid to whisper him. Be like, man, how are you doing so much damage on the fight? Is there something that I can improve on? Because just by asking, a lot of players aren't completely jerks. Sometimes they'll let you know, hey, in this scenario, this is what you want to be doing. It boosts up your damage a lot, whatever it is. Alright, guys. Hopefully this helps you guys out for any hunters out there, anybody out there. Hopefully it helps you guys out. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure to like, favorite, subscribe. And that's about it.